Right people, let's get going. I've seen enough. I'm hopefully in focus this week when on my float shots. And I'm just going to start on the long pole like with hard pellets. I'm just going to put one of the feed on, the 6mm. I've got a 16 B911 on, 016. I've got like a strung bulk of number 9s. Let's get on it. Might be a bit foul looking until we get the feed in, right? But I haven't put any bait in yet. So let's just see. I often do this, just go out and start fishing. Especially on a hot day like this, because you don't know whether they're going to be short or what. I've been doing some other filming this morning, so I've not been able to make the most of probably that time when the short pole would be really good. That'll probably have to wait till later now, but we're just going to ping, try and get them near me float. 2s and 3s to start with, that's better. And if it doesn't go near me float, I'll just redo it, feed again. There's a chance here we could catch shallow, but rather than force it, experience has taught me on these sort of venues, Makins, Shrewsbury Valley when it used to be, they're like the same fish from the same era in these lakes and Shrewsbury, the sort of 20-year-old carp, and these carp, and you can't force them shallow by feeding, if that makes sense. They'll just come shallow when they're ready, so there's no point like saying to yourself, right, I'm going to fish shallow today, I'm just going to commit and blast 4 pints of 4mm at them. Because don't get me wrong, it might work, but chances are you'll just ruin any chance you've got of catching fish on the bottom. So to start with, we'll just keep pinging 2s and 3s like that, as tight as we can, on a semi-regular basis, and read the float. Look for signs of fish, there's bubbles coming up and stuff. And it may be that we have to fish shallow, but what I'm trying to say is we don't have to force it to get there. We can just keep that feeding at that same steady 2s and 3s semi-regularly, and if the fish want to come shallow, they'll come shallow. You don't have to force it shallow. So you might notice I've got a lot of the bristles showing, and that's for a very technical reason, because the shots fell off. So there's a carp there. I've got a feeling I could be shallow fishing most of the day today. I'm going to put that shot on, because although I want a bit of show on the float, I don't want all that. Yeah, the shot's pinged off. I don't want loads of float sticking out, just to be nice. Halfway along the bristle will be perfect. So I'll stick that on, number 10. Another carp coming from the left. There's quite a few past me poles. There's a lot of fish moving about at the minute. Obviously it's warm. Had a really nice warm little spell. I'm just going to flick my rig out. Because you never know, you might catch another one on the drop. If you're just feeding 2s and 3s pellets, sometimes they'll come up. And you can get an odd one on as the rig's fluttering through. Ooh. So don't be frightened to flick the rig out or flick it past your pole tip. Just keep working at it. Look, there's one on the bottom there, because when I fed them pellets and missed that bite, I spooked him, so just ping a few more in. Look at that, so accurate. And one thing I will say with this method, you've got to put your blinkers on a little bit when you're fishing hard pellets on the bottom. You will miss bites and you'll get sailaways because of the way you're feeding 6mm pellets that they love the noise. You're gonna get some proper fly unders that aren't bites. You just kind of got to put the blinkers on a bit and just get on with it. You will foul an odd one again. Just get on with it. Don't worry about it too much. Just try and keep working. There's loads of fish cruising about shallow now. Look, there's one there short. I think I'm going to have to already come back and put the shallow rig on, because it's pretty obvious the fish are up in the water. Can't believe there's no one else here. There's a few people on the other lakes, but no one on the reptile. So I thought, well, this is perfect for me here. Look at all them fish now to my left. Good fish there as well. I just wanted to start on the bottom and just see. Because as we were setting up, there wasn't actually that many muggers about. that felt like it was nowhere near the bottom, that one. This is what I'm talking about. I've not had to up the bait or increase the regularity or anything. I can tick along on that steady routine to catch on the bottom. And if the fish decide they want to come shallow, which it looks like they're going to, then we can put the rig on, the appropriate rig. But for now, we'll just give it another few minutes. I've not started short or anything like that. Just on these sort of open water commercials, where it's not too deep, like this is that sort of 4.5 foot or whatever it is. If you can get into, then you will catch a few on the bottom, even when it's hot like this. But so it's a good place to start. Saying that, I can't see me being on the bottom for long. Love shallow fishing as well, so look at that. See, as soon as my pellets have gone in, indication. So these fish are, look, it's flanked out my peg again. So look, they're in my bait now. So I'm gonna come back and put the big head on. Now this is not. What's important to say is that it's not all about just shallow fishing. Like, if they suddenly start showing signs that they're not there, then I will just go back on the bottom. That's important to know. It's not all about going shallow, but it's looking like it could be that kind of day. Just slap in. Now, one thing I will say, and it's just become immediately obvious, is because it's so calm today, that even a 4x10 big head, like which that is making quite a big bit of noise on the surface. Now some days, loads of noise can be really good. On other days, it can be the kiss of death. So we're going to have to work that out. Maybe that just plopping it in might be better. Hopefully. You see, I'm not upping the bait or anything. I'm just going to keep it nice and steady. Because we haven't caught fish yet. Or actually had a bite yet. We've had them liners on the bottom, but fascinating how they do that when you're fishing on the bottom and you're getting loads of signs, and then as soon as you pick up the shallow, they go. But because it's so calm today, like look, all that fizzing, all the fish moving about when I was on the bottom have gone. Saying that they're on. You have it? Interesting, so it came from away from the bait a bit. I'm going to swing it past the pole tip for rather than slap for a bit, like that. It can work really well, that, and it just makes it go in a bit quieter. There's fish there though, so I think it's only a matter of time. Look, there's one. Oh, he's tried to eat the big head, that one. So it's important not to get carried away because we haven't caught one yet. He's don't have it though, that one. No, he's not. Lovely, isn't it? So that's when you need to catch one. When they come in like that and there was 2s and 3s, that was bad angling on my part then. I needed to catch one then. Ooh, there's a big gang of them coming from the left here. Got another barrel here, look. I'll definitely get one of them. Never. That's amazing, isn't it? A few muggers about. Ah, there we go. So, I'll tell you what was interesting there. I've hooked my first fish of the day, mugged him, and I actually slapped in front of that one, and he came and took it straight away, which I think is really interesting, because that obviously tells us a lot that that one's responded quite nicely to noise. So, just a bit more information to work out, you know. If I see another mugger, I could maybe have a go at slapping at him or whatever. Maybe that the slap will get a positive response like that one did. Love this sort of fish though. So it's not a big one though. Nice fish though, common. It was so interesting then, that massive group of them came through and they actually spooked. Sometimes it's like that, they're like, sometimes you get a big jank and they're not happy. Lovely fish though. I'm hooked. Straight away, there's a bit of cloud cover. Might catch him on the bottom now. Bit of cloud cover. So that beautiful Makins carp. Very pretty common. And back. As you see, I'm sort of just looking about, trying to find my next target as it is. But it has actually gone a bit overcast, which isn't a bad thing. There's a lot more muggers about than there was when I was setting up. So I've got to bear that in mind. Until there's one somewhere near, I'll just give it a slap for a few minutes. Not fed the edges or anything, that'll come later. Back in the feed. Big group of them coming in short. To my left, to my right, sorry. It may be that just the one slapstick, look at that there. Where's he come from? This is exactly my point about with your feed. It's so important. Because look, I fed 2 or 3 pellets every 40 seconds or whatever it is. And the fish are about. It's not taking me loads of bait to get them there. They're just there, and I think when these wise old carp venues, that's often the case. I'd be confident now, even though I haven't caught one yet, there's not loads of bait on the bottom to ruin it, so I'd still maybe catch them on the bottom. Really interesting fishing. Again, one too many pellets for me in there. Oh, 3's a nice number because it groups really nicely. Again, we've not had a bite in our feed yet. And that may come later. So maybe I am going to have to do a bit more mugging, or might go on the bottom again in a minute. What is noticeable is the fish that are coming to me line are like probably a section further than pole tip. Yeah, that was in the feed. So that was on the like just a little swing past. We foul up that though, unusual. But yeah, that was on a little swing past rather than no, just a little carp, a little lively one. That was on a swing pass rather than a slap, so worth bearing in mind. Oh, can you believe it? Never felt right, that one from the off. Disappointing. What happened there? Never felt quite right, that one. There's none about now. I know if I go on the bottom, they'll appear as if by magic. But I tell you what, it's gone really hazy. lovely. Really quick. He's swimming, which is nice. Oh, we turned, but then said, see you later, Joseph. We turned, that's why. Biggest strike in the world. Quite often the ones that come in close, you get them. I think you're a bit more accurate and you can see the bite of it. I can see where they're coming from. They're hanging off the pole tip, which is amazing, isn't it? Even, I mean, it doesn't know when you feed like that past the pole tip, but they're sort of they're in the area, they're coming to the noise, but I'd say they're not actively looking for the pellets, if that makes sense. Oh my God, sorry. Might be the option to turn for that one. Yeah. See, that was another one on the slap, so maybe they are going to respond to someone. Definitely happier at about 14 metres than they are at 13 as well. That's noticeable. Don't actually know what the rules are on this lake about distance and stuff, because obviously in a match the angler's opposite. Whether they stagger the pegs or whatever, but I've never seen any rules saying you can't go past 13 metres or anything like that. So obviously I like to feed at 13 to start with and then work it out from there. So I've had two, both of them on the slap as well, but slapping at fish, not in my bait. Nice fish, £5. Yeah, both of them have come slapping at cruisers rather than in my bait, which is quite interesting. Great hook hold then, B911. £5. I'll tell you what I want to do, I want to click, see what we get to. £63. Click 63 the other day and weighed 65, that's good, isn't it? I reckon we're at £8 now. Fresh pellet on and go again. Of course, mugging is a divisive subject really. Some people love it, some people hate it. I actually think it's fantastic, me. And there's a reason certain people are good at it, it's because it's not that easy to do. It requires quite a lot of watercraft and stuff, and I don't claim to be a master at mugging anything. I've had my moments, but never been classed as a mugging expert or anything, but I think it's a great method. And early in the session like this, when you can see they're coming to the bait but they're not necessarily feeding, there can be no better way to get your match going for your session. I think I'm perhaps one slap is enough. Might just turn it over once, might be better, because it's so calm today and muggy. One slap might be better than multiples. But we actually haven't had a bite in the bait yet, have we? We had that one that came swinging past. I've got to go this way. Yeah. Oh, I watched him really suck it in and he obviously blew it back out before my float even moved. Now, one thing about mugging is if you do catch them short, like you'll get cruisers that not necessarily come under your pole but are in the area. If you do see them short, have a go for them, because you'll learn a lot, because the amount of times they suck it in and your float didn't even move is unbelievable when you're mugging. I'm just leaving it hanging at the minute because I don't actually think there's any fish in my bait. I think fish in the area are chilling out around the area. I've got this section on now, so it allows me to have a go for any cruisers. Tail. Don't eat with the tail, Joe, do they? Come on. Woeful angling that. Yeah, not. Surely. Yeah. Oh, Joseph. Did everything right, except hit the bite. Woeful. Again, I've just come back to the bait. I'm just sort of swinging it past. Waiting for another mugging opportunity, really. There's one. Oh my God. Sometimes I amaze myself at how bad I can be at fishing at times. I have moments of sheer brilliance, and then just most of my season is capitulations like that. Moments where I think, yeah, that was good, Joe, well done. Well worked out. And then you have moments like that when you had a nailed on 8-pounder and you don't even get the rig anywhere near it. There's one here close, a little diddy one. Leave him be for the time being. Oh, it's a great big ghost here. I've got to have a go at him. He's a beauty. Oh, terrible. Has he gone down? Oh, he's just... He was there, he was on my bait. Didn't take it. They are a bit moody at the minute. And a lot of them will be back again. Back for another go. We'll slap him this time, see if it wakes him up. Never know. Tell you what that slapping did. Spooked him. A million miles away from... See, they've backed off. We've had them two... Oh, there's fish in there. We've had them two fish, and now the mugging opportunities are a little bit thin on the ground. The ones that are out my peg now. I'll tell you what we're doing. That ghost is all over there now. Bring my pole back a minute. Some poles out the way. And we'll just see if one comes by. One here. Surely. Yeah. That was good that time. Everything was good that time. Yeah, I can give myself 9 out of 10 for that one. He's cruising right towards me and I managed to just gently flick it right in front of him. No mess ups this time. So I'm not an expert at mugging by any means. I know the basics. Oh, it's like an orange common. Nice fish. Like a bit of a koi type character. Not full koi, but a bit of a koi. Old fish these are in here. Old as the hills, in fact. Let's get this discarger on him. Old fish. Wise fish. Look at him. £5, a bit of a cricket bat. Ooh. Yeah, old fish. Nice. Bit of a cricket bat, so I'll give myself £5 for him. Cricket bat common. Not going too bad. I've not had any in my bait yet, which is just typical of early session sort of carping really. You've just got to almost like realise that what's going to happen, and then pick your opportunities. Like there's no opportunities now, no muggers whatsoever. Interestingly, that one came a bit more confidence after I left my pole out the way. There's 2 more at the back there. Very, very muggable. Oh, Joe. Back to being woeful. Yep. That's what that was on. Saw his gills flare, if anything. So I think they're like in the area of the pellets going in because of the noise and stuff. There must be, otherwise I'm the only one on the lake. They'd just bugger off up the other end of the lake, wouldn't they? So they must be interested. You might just think, well, why just stop feeding? But I do think you need to create an area, especially at this time of year. It's a bit different in spring when they're first waking up because they're still warming up. They're not actually been activated properly feeding yet. Whereas these have had a summer of eating. These are mugging. These are purely on the top because the weather's like unseasonably warm, really. So they are still in the habit of coming to pellets and stuff like that. So I do think you need a spot in your peg at this time of year. And it might be that I catch in the feed a bit later once this has developed a bit. It's a nice fish. £5 mirror. He's a bit of a younger looking character. Not as old and wiry as them other ones were. Another £5. Again, I'm really happy. I'm not, like I said, I'm not even interested in blasting hell out of it because it just, look, it's flat calm. It's not going to be that day. I know it. Even when they come into the bait later, it's not going to be that. So keep it casual with the old feed. Now that's interesting. One's in my edge here. It's way too early for edge fishing for me. So even though that's there, I'm just going to completely ignore it, pretend it never even happened, because you can go and chase shadows down the edge and make it you can have a right bad day when you do that. Now where is the target? Because there's a ghost here. A little tiny stab on the float then, that could have been my chance. Noticeably, there's loads of colour now where I'm fishing, so I reckon there is some carp on the bottom now, as well as the cruisers. Like I say, it's important just to look at that. Bottom's erupted. I've noticed my float slid a little bit, so let's just rig it back and I think I've mentioned before, I like that 12 inches for mugging. Right, so we've got 4 or 5, £18 anyway, give or take. Pretty good with my weights normally. And noticeably, the bottom's now colouring up a lot out there. There's a lot of fizzing, so there's obviously some fish rooting about out there. A lot less muggers actually, since we caught that last fish. Just as I said that, there's a bit of a suspicion of one there. And let's have a little swing at it. I think that was a carp. It's just so interesting, the feeding, because like I say, they're coming to the bait. They're definitely coming to that them pellets rattling in, but oh, here comes the sun again. But they're not. It's not like they're boiling through the bait or anything. I think they're just semi-interested in the area. There's no muggers now, but that sun's just come out, so I don't think it'll be long before we see one. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly whip that. Put my beat rig on. Let's see if we can catch one on the bottom. You never know. Oh, it's a prime ghosty. Prime ghosty that here. Sorry folks, I've got to. He's way out my shot. He's going to be a nice fish if we get him. Has he woke up? Yeah, he's woke up. Got him. What's really interesting, and it's happened on all of the fish so far that I've mugged, I've swung it at them and they've just gone down, followed the pellets down, they followed the hook bait down, and then you get a bite after a few seconds. Sometimes they take it as soon as it hits the surface, like they're really aggressive, but I think when they've been caught a bit and they're used to the sound and stuff, I think they like follow it down slightly. So that ghostie was very inactive. Yeah, just they couldn't resist. Great fishing here at Makins on Reptile. So first time I've been on this lake since they redug it. Must be 5 or 6 years ago, I suppose. We'll talk about the edge when we come to it. I'm really looking forward to that. Trying sort of Jamie Hughes' tactics. Obviously he's mastered it, but we can all learn from each other, and I'm looking forward to trying that. I'm not going to really big pot it or anything. I'm just going to wait until the time's right and then get on it. Funny that, there's an orange ghostie that I keep having a little mug at, and he's right the way over there now. This is a nice fish though. Nice fish of the day so far. That's why you've got to, if you are in a match and you're against mugging, it's time to get not against mugging, because look, every fish I've had so far has been mugging. And that's a £6 ghostie, I'd say. Been quite lenient since. Let's get on the bottom, because there are muggers about, but in fact, to tell you what, one tip I will give you: when you put your mugging rig down, always make sure you bait it up, because you just never know when you're on the bottom. Big load of mugging up. There's one coming now. Let's go on the bottom. But, you know, it only takes for a bit of a pod of them fish to come through, and you can quickly ship back, put your mugging rig on and capitalise. If you haven't got a pellet on, by the time you've got a pellet on and all that jazz, it could be gone, that opportunity. So, oh look at that, chuffing carp right in my feed. I'll just stick to it though and go on the bottom. I've got to try and catch him, haven't I? Yeah, I've got to. Sorry boys and girls, look at him. In the bait. It'll probably be gone by the time I get there, but on carp, you've just got to... Jamie came out with something really obvious the other day. When they're in this mood, you've got to catch them on their terms. He's spooked anyway. Oh, he had it. I missed it. Yeah, you've got to catch them on their terms when they're in this sort of frame of mind, early in the day and all that. There's no point... There's no point fishing for them on the method on the bottom when they're all on the top. They'll come strong eventually, though. Very deep rig. There it is. Let's see if we can catch anything on the bottom. 5 minutes. Flick my pellet out to the side. Ping a few pellets. Let's see if I get a part on the bottom. Just gone really hot again. Right.
That's right.
Few, yeah.
Any bigger?
No, like £6. Right, you catching?
Are you holding that like that? Ain't that heavy?
No. You can actually see the plumes of mud coming out. Because they're digging it, I'm going to put another inch on. I just threw 2 pellets in the edge and the carp coming and eating it off the edge. There's a lot about now. I don't know what's happened different, but all of a sudden there's a load of carp about. What I'd like to do. There's nothing on the bottom. Which is probably to be expected when it's high 20s. Oh, it's in the mouth, that. That is a carp. Sometimes you catch like different fish on the bottom, like little carp and stuff, Crucians and whatnot. I don't feel like I thought it was a Crucian or something when I hooked it. Definitely in the mouth, though, which is nice. Nice to get one on the bottom. Interesting, that came as a flick the rig past. Not that that was the reason I got a bite, but something to bear in mind. Get him in. It's not that little actually. Fish. £4. Good healthy £4, I'd say. But off the mark on the bottom, £28. Interesting, put that bit more depth on. Just put another inch of depth on. Cause I felt like I've been digging the bottom out. Might have just got a touch deeper. Shallow now, though. Obviously the temptation is to feed loads of pellets, but it doesn't actually do you any good. That's not the bottom as well. Because you just get into a situation with more bait on the bottom. Little one. They're the fish you catch on the bottom. Like little sort of 3 to 4 pounders really. They like live on the bottom, don't they? Again, that was swinging it out past. Quite nice though. There's not loads of muggers about at the minute, so maybe that's a nice little tick over for the time being. Till the muggalinas come back. coming in the edge all of it. Ridiculous, really. Yeah, just sort of swing it past. Let it sort of come in on its own. Not just letting the rig fish on its own. I'm not purposely not trying to hold it or anything, just letting it fish itself. Oh, feeding. Going against my own rules here. Not to feed 3 times there to get it accurate, that's my fault. Pointless striking at them, but you can't help yourself, can you? Oh, I can't anyway. Can't wait to get down this edge. I was literally just for the crack throwing in like a couple of pellets right against this bank and they've come straight in. As always is the case, the muggers come in waves of shallow, and this is exactly what I keep banging on about. If I just blasted pellets in, I just wouldn't have a chance to catch on the bottom because I'd just ruin it. There'd be too much bait there. Whereas by just taking it steady, when the fish are coming into my swim shallow, I'm catching them. When they're not shallow, like they aren't now, then I've got the option to go on the bottom over minimal bait. So pinging and keeping it low key, 2s and 3s, is really, really important for this sort of fishing. 6 mils, especially on these older lakes where there's a bit of silt and all that. Yeah. And that is what happens on the bottom. Often happens that. I don't know why. Answers on a postcard. Even though you're fishing on the bottom in 5 foot of water, a pellet will hit your float and your float will bury and it'll be in the mouth. I don't know why, but it's something that triggers them to give you a bite. But yeah, as predicted, smaller fish on the bottom, but nice fishing all the same. I'm thinking about my edges. I'm looking out there and there's no muggers again, even though the sun's out. I can look behind me and there's some fish over there and whatnot, but God, these look staying well. Yeah, another, I'd say he's £4 that one. Actually, the bottom fishing's quite good. £34, no, £35. Doing myself out of numbers there. So let's readjust the cameras, and we'll just plod along a bit really, because I can definitely catch some fish down the edge, but kind of want I want the sun to go around a bit. Right, so we're obviously getting to grips with old reptile, I think. It's nothing revolutionary, there's nothing magic that we're doing here, but what we're doing is ticking over, which is early session carp fishing 101 really. Find something you can tick over on, and this long pole on the bottom is always a banker. Always. No matter what venue you go on, because there's always bites to be had. Even when it's warm like this, there's bites to be had. There's a lot of fish in these lakes, and even though you can see 30 or so buzzing around on the top, there's a lot of carp underneath them. And I think people forget about that sometimes. So even though it's red hot, muggy, high pressure, I always put a bottom rig up. Even if you only catch a handful on it, it might be that extra bit that you need to win the match. So always think about that. And like I say, especially on these venues with these old carp, don't get giddy and lash it in, because it just doesn't really work. These lakes are under a lot of pressure. Granted, I'm the only one here today, so they're not today, but these lakes are under a lot of pressure to get fished all the time. It's a small lake, this is. You know, there's 30 pegs on it or whatever, typical sort of commercial lake. They get fed all the time. It's the end of summer. They're not, until the edge sort of kicks in, they're just moseying around. Bite them. Just take the fish where they want to be and keep the feed minimal is the ultimate advice I can give you here. Now you may be thinking why I'm not potting. Potting can be really good with hard pellet fishing, but if I can feed with a catty I always will, because that rattle of the pellets hitting the surface, it's unbeatable really. And I think sometimes having a bit of a spreader bait isn't a bad thing. You know, we all like to be accurate, but sometimes I think having the fish picking pellets up and moving around is a good thing. So you can see just 2 pellets this time. It's important to keep pinging an odd pellet in though, because you could just fire 10 in and sit and wait, and I'm not saying it wouldn't work, but a bit like what's just happened there, I've fired 2 in and I've caught one, and that's 3 times that's happened now. And even though we're catching on the bottom, that happens so often in my fishing. Like, a pellet will hit the surface and you get a bite. Just got the old black zip on. That's perfect for these sort of size fish, to be honest. Feels a bit better, this one. Just feel this big head bang like that. Really good fishing. Here at Makins. Oh, a bit of a ghosty character. Oh, it's a big one. No. Biggest fish of the day, that. Oh, white tips. Look at that. Got like a white tail on him. Bit of an instant win on the quiet him. Pretty fish, that. Oh, he's lovely. Right in the mouth. So you just wouldn't expect fish like that to be on the bottom in these temperatures, but they are. Or they can be. And it can be just that bit more consistent than trying to catch them shallow. Look at him. Definitely a bit of a, he's got white tail, he's got white scales, a bit of a koi cat type character. Beautiful fish, that one. Biggest fish of the day. £6 easily. Might even be a touch bigger, but I'm going to give myself £6. So we're into the £40 bracket now. Provided we have a good edge, which I think we will, but especially now we can catch on this, as well as mugging a few and shallow fishing. If we can just keep ticking along nicely like this. Is that 5 we've had on the bottom now? Might be. Then maybe we can it keeps you, what I'm trying to say in my own mumbling way is it keeps you from feeding the edge too soon. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, let's flick it past. And like I say, I'll just sort of put the float on the surface and let the rig fish. Gives me a few seconds just to pick my catty up, get me 2 or 3 pellets in. Try and get them as close. Look at that. Just lovely that is. And then I can just get on with my fishing. I think that's a big part of it, learning not to strike too hard as well. I really like that Cypri for this fishing. I love big thick tips for carp, but I think the 1.7 for hard pellet fishing is nice for 6mm, because I'll tell you what happens, like this, they're blowing on the bottom, they dig the bottom out, and this, because of the 1.7, the 6mm registers on it, on the bristle. So when they have dug it out, it'll start to sit lower, so you know to add another inch of depth on, or replumb. Fishing's really good on the bottom now. Better than it was when we were fishing shallow. This feels like another good fish. I mean, they're all good fish, aren't they? But cool fish, isn't it? So we've had, what's that, 6 on the bottom, and we've only fouled up 1 and lost 1 because we kept our feeding light. Keep an eye on that depth. It's another £5. Keep an eye on that depth. It's just really good fishing. You know, as soon as my float sits a little bit lower, I'll add another inch on. But at the minute, we added that inch and we started catching, so another 5. So all of a sudden, we're heading towards the £50 mark, and we've not even broke a sweat yet, really. We've done a bit of mugging at the start when they were about. They've definitely backed off now. There's an odd one, but compared to earlier, there isn't many. So that could be the last of them fish that we see for a while, until certainly until the edge kicks in. This being disciplined with your bait, trying to be as accurate as you can. I've got one on the float, 2 past, so I'm going to redo it. Lovely. So that's how you want them. If you can get them like that around your float, you will catch more fish. You could ping 1 pellet, I'm sure of it, and get bites. See, I reckon I need to add another inch on my float. The float's sitting lower. I think I'm alright. I think I'm probably just on bottom, but then I'll have to go shallow again in a minute, because there's more fish shallow again all of a sudden. And we haven't done anything, and this is exactly what I'm trying to keep banging on about. I've not changed anything. I've just kept that same routine going, but because the sun's come out and they're feeling a little bit more confident, there's like 2 there, there's 1 in my feed, there's 2 there. I'm gonna have to come back and go shallow. Because, I mean, look, then that hasn't been happening for the past however long. So I've got my bait on still from when I've rebaited before, like I said. So if this opportunity arises, which it has, then I can quickly react. I'm not sure if I'm trying to get his tail here or what. I'm amazed he hasn't had that. Look at that, you see? Not actually caught one. I'd have been better off sticking around on the bottom. Oh, big ghosty. No bite, don't know why I struck. Try and get one on this. It's really, really still at the moment. It's funny because you get lulling sauce because there's a bit of bubbling and that going on, but over here it's so calm. There's no cover at all. I might have that one then. See, look, that was a mistake then. To come off that deep, I would have probably caught one. And I've messed it up royally, to be honest. Unless I can push this massive ghost here. Of course. Right. Now, obviously when it comes to edging, one thing I do is, and Jamie mentioned this, and it's something I've been doing for quite a long time, but I'd never really mentioned it to anyone. Not that it's a secret or anything, it's just one of them things I've never really mentioned it is, I'll often, like what I've done here, just throw like odd pellet in really close, and it's not that I'm trying to catch them on them pellets, I'm just testing the water to see when they'll come in. Because like today, for example, I've just been throwing an odd pellet, like 1 or 2 just down here, and there's an odd carp coming in, so I know that they'll come in pretty quickly today. But on other days you'll throw them pellets in and nothing will happen. So you've got to leave it and leave it and leave it, and it's just like a way of reading what's happening. Like, if they're not coming in, which they often do because you're not fishing down there, they'll often come really close to you. If they'll do that, then you know you're going to catch on your margin spots, but if they don't, then you might be better off staying out long or whatever, or not committing your bait to the edge yet. And it sounds obvious, but it's something that I don't see many people do, and I think it's a real big edge that. Like at Shearsby, for example, they'll come onto it quite quick. See, I think I would have caught one there, but anyway, we'll plod along. Right, so we've come to the end of this scorching day, and I don't know how successful this is going to be because, to be honest, my camera keeps overheating. Certainly the float camera does. Anyway, so I'll have to try and do this quite quick. Hopefully the fish will be obliging. So we've set up that Jamie Hughes style rig with a 4x10 Fishery. Just got a couple of number 10s down it to do the curve as he talked about. I found a nice spot in about 18 inches. Is it the 2 bait boxes he talked about? Yeah, a little bit deeper maybe, but there's some really shallow water to be had a bit further along the bank, but got to be honest, I'm not feeling that just yet. So bright, I think that probably they'll want a bit of cover over the head. So I've knocked up that sort of sticky pellet mix with a bit of corn and an odd, just a smattering of ground bait to sort of hold it together. So let's see what we can catch. Now, I picked a spot here because it's probably the best. The bank's at its best there. So let's just see what we can catch. Hopefully the GoPro doesn't pack in, but it keeps turning itself off because it's too hot. Well, I'm too hot and I've not turned myself off yet. Yeah, that's the plan. I've not big potted it or anything like that. I've just literally gone in. Granted, that is a Preston paste pot that I've got on there, so it's a decent sized pot, like a large cad pot size. I'll just, there we go. I'll tell you what, that looks like a tench, would you believe it? If that's a tench, that's amazing. It's a bite anyway. That's a big skimmer. What are you doing up there? In fact, I'd call that a bream. Look at him. Get him straight back. Well, it's a bite. Not necessarily what we're after. It's a bite. Go back in, grain of corn. I don't mind that though, because at least my bait's getting eaten. More bait perhaps. Now, it's a really complicated swim this is because it's shallow. Even there off the bank where I'm fishing, it's quite shallow. So I've got this situation where the fish can get behind me and past my float, the fish are up in inches of water. Now, when it's bright, you just can't catch them up there. Like, you'll spend half your day trying to catch one, but it won't happen. You might catch a lucky one and then that's your lot. So just be mindful of that. Sometimes, just because you can see them in inches of water, try not to get too distracted with them. It's difficult, but what you've got to remember is there might be one eating pellets off the grass, but there might be 5 where you can't see them, so just bear that in mind. I've lost out on so many matches trying to chase them ghosts, as I like to call them, that come in the edge and they come into super shallow water. What's going on at the moment? He's passed me in that shallow water, as predicted. Like I say, it's one fish, so you can't get too carried away when you start seeing that happening. There we go. We got one. Got the green zip on. Obviously got the blue, which is my normal sort of bagging elastic, but I do like this green. I think it's nice middle ground, especially when it's shallow like this. Sometimes you want to be able to hook them and kind of guide them out a bit, or let them go off. Not always about getting them in super quick. Oh, we got one anyway. Foul up though. Foul up this. I often think there's something, when they're behaving erratically, it's when they're not happy, they're not, no, it is in the mouth, they're not feeling confident, and I think there might be a bit of that going on here. Normally when you've got them lined up in the edge, you hook them and they sort of just cruise out, but sometimes you're small one, it's mad. Nice fish, sir. We'll try and catch one more, I think. It's coming. Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, like there came nice. Set me a little trap. I think I'd be catching more on pace today, actually, but I think that's just a temperature thing. It's not been warm enough for weeks, but it is today. So let's just try one more. Shouldn't be doing this, I should be going. Should be going home on that one. Interesting, I put a ball in that time rather than just loose pellets. Whether that made a difference, who knows, but we'll do it again. And get him without tangling with the rig, of course. We had a great day though here at Makins. I mean, I carried on mugging and fishing shallow and stuff to let my cameras cool down earlier, and caught an absolute boatload of fish. So that's been really good. Positive bite then. It went, one left the peg then. Wasn't enough to make me want to come back and feed those. It wasn't like a massive. I reckon that brain just took pity on me. Well, I'm going to call it a day because I can't sit here any longer. I'm just too hot. It's just so hot. I don't want to keep fishing. Is the honest answer. I need to work on that, definitely, from the edge fishing. Lovely bream. There's definitely an advantage to this. I can see it, but I just need to refine it really, and see what I can do. It probably work better in a slightly different situation, but hope you enjoyed that. We've caught plenty of fish out there, not so many down here, and I'm going to blame all the conditions for that, but nevertheless we're learning together. We're trying to work out new methods, new tactics, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So we'll see you again on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you again very, very soon.